the Trinity River Forest, one of the things they're doing for from now to June for community engagement is free.
Yes.
By the way, this is John. Can everyone see the slideshow that's going on right now?
Yes.
Okay, good.
And John, thank you so much for being the technical person. I had a little trouble getting out of getting here. There was a real bad accident on Hampton. Can you kind of probe the questions so that we're somebody's guide directing the questions, so that if there's too many or things that aren't, pertinent, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, I'd appreciate that. That makes me feel better.
Okay.
Oh, and you also wanted us to count how many people are on your call too, Kristi, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So Kristi and Amy, did you read through my quote unquote instructions? Did you understand that about the PowerPoint?
Yes, that was very cool. We greatly appreciate that.
Oh, you're welcome.
I had never known that trick about presenter view and slideshow and then browser thing. That was great.
Oh, good.
Yeah. I've done a number of talks the really hard way because I didn't know that. So
It's right.
Very glad to learn from you.
Well, you're very welcome. I'm glad I could help there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I had to.
So who is going to go to the Backpacking 101 at the end of the month?
Oh, I would like to.
I guess that means you're not, right?
No, it just means I need to look at it. I'm looking. It's Saturday, January 28th.
Yeah.
I'm trying to look and see what time it's going to be at the Preston Royal Branch. I think I can do that.
I can't. I would like to go. I need a refresher.
From 10 to 4. I might can do that.
Well, good.
Our church is opening up a clinic, and the day that we're going to have our presentation with our parishioners is January 29th. And if they don't change that date, you know how people change things back and forth. If the date does not get changed, I will be free on January 24th.
Oh, good. You'll enjoy it.
Yeah.
I wish I could go. I can't, unfortunately, because I definitely need a refresher.
I was going to say, do you need to go? You probably don't need to go.
Oh, you do not know the reputation I have as far as backpacking. It's not a positive one.
I'm not a heavy, I'm a heavy packer. And so I had to learn to scale down. I was in horror when I did a mission trip to the Honduras with the Catholic Diocese.
Oh boy. We
were going to be in South America for 2.5 weeks, and all we could take was one duffel bag.
Uh-huh.
And I was
so
like,
you went and bought the biggest duffel bag you could possibly find, right?
I was like, you guys have got to be kidding. But it was so hot. We went during the summer. All you could carry were capris and shirts, things of that nature anyway. So it worked out. And it's not like we were going to go out on the town at night. We were, building churches and things of that nature. So it worked out okay. But when I first heard that, I was like, I can't get all my stuff in that bag.
Yes, want to be ready because we have a backpacking trip in the Big Bend National Park coming up second week in February. And then in March, they'll do a beginner backpacking trip.
Well, that's the one I need to be on, the beginner.
Yeah, the outdoor committee, they have really, they got some good things lined
They
up.
really do. They really do.
The one
I'm
thing
looking
I-
here. I'm on the website here looking at our schedule. 8th, February 8th through 12th is Big Bend. Then there's a Goat Island Trail hike.
Yep.
March 25th is LBJ National Grassland.
Yep. I'm gonna
That's
go
not,
to that.
that's near Decatur. That's not too far away.
No, I think it's just a single day though. That's not.
Yeah, I don't think it's so. It's just saying this one.
I don't believe they do any camping. There's no
Uh-huh.
camping there. You know, one place in Kansas, I think it is, in the, I think they call it Flint Hills, but there's the National Tallgrass Prairie up there. It's about 10,000 acres or so.
Wow.
I bet that's
And every
nice.
year they have, and I believe it's from Kansas City, the symphony out on the prairie, which this is a huge deal in that area of the country.
I'm looking
Oh.
at these pictures that are scrolling across here. These are
I
beautiful
meant to-
pictures.
I meant that, which the cartoons are the actual pictures.
Huh?
The cartoons are the pictures.
No, the actual pictures.
I don't see any cartoons, so I don't know if I'm seeing the wrong.
There were a couple at the beginning, but this
Oh.
is really nice.
Yeah, that's a terrible thing they tried to do back then, 60, 80 years ago.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hi, sir. How are you?
So far, so good, but the night is still young.
Well, has anybody had an environmental adventure to share over the holidays? Anything to update us on or give us a chuckle? Let's see. Someone's
Let me get it if I can.
Guys, I think we're gone very different from what I remember.
There we go.
There we
there
go.
we go.
Hey, Fritz, how are you doing? Can't hear you.
I know, I'm trying to unmute. I'm slow. I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. I've
Okay,
got my feet up and my compression things around my legs, and I'm getting ready to enjoy my new knee.
I may need advice from you one of these days.
Oops.
Okay. I'm happy to share if I've got any.
Okay.
So Renee, were you able to connect with Carlos about our
Yes.
meeting next month?
On my
To
way,
update us
on my
that?
way home, he has sent it. It's on my email right now. And I'll send it to you.
Okay.
They were trying to perfect it, and then they just decided they would do what they have. The committee that's on inclusion was who
Mhm.
they were trying to get to do it, but he's going to do it himself. And the names may change, but the topic, will remain the same. So, yeah, he did send me something.
Why don't you share with everyone, give them a little, like a precursor to your announcement at the meeting about next month's meeting.
Okay.
which will be super groovy, just like this one.
Do
Excuse
you-
me,
Yes.
John, on your Zoom, can you make live the Q&A so that people can put their questions in the Q&A instead of in the chat?
That I have not looked into doing. I should know that. I meant to find out about it, so we're going to have to go through chat.
Okay.
Okay, and you'll read and tell us the questions at the end.
Yes.
Okay, because there's a lot of other stuff in the chat besides questions.
Oh, yes. Right now, there are.
Terrific. Thank you. Carry on.
Renee, would you want to continue?
About the February? Oh, okay. The city of Dallas. Are there enough people on here? You just want me to go ahead and
Oh, well, no, we're still about 15 minutes out, but I just we
Yeah, I
have
thought
so
we were.
so many listeners. I thought you should give them some background. of
Oh,
what we're
okay,
talking about.
okay. Well, if we have lots of people listening, first of all, my name is Renee Robertson, and I am the program chair, finding speakers and putting things together like this. And with the help of Victoria and the rest of the club that sends me input, I couldn't do it without them. I'm also the environmental commissioner for District 8. The city of Dallas has 15 districts, and each council person was asked to appoint a commissioner to work with environmental issues that occur in his district. And District 8 is Southeast Oak Cliff. I was appointed by Councilman Atkins. The city has put together CCAP, which is an environmental plan for the city, and it has several goals and things that they have indicators for what percentage and that they will have done by X date. One of them is electric cars and things of that nature. The one that I have coming in February, I thought would be good, is they also put together a racial equity plan. And the racial equity plan is primarily for the southern part of the city, because to bring up to have the equality they're wanting to have, some of these neighborhoods, you have to first make them equitable so that you can raise them up. So the equity plan was designed to look at disparities that were done, try to prevent more things from happening, put policies in place that would prevent those racial disparities from happening. For example, batch plants. We do have to have cement, and I get it, but like I've always said, does that plant need to be next to my home? There's there's strategic ways that you can look at it. There's like 20 batch plants in West Dallas. Most of just about all batch plants are south. And it's a public health issue because I always say this, no children run more asthma than the children of Southern Dallas County because of the air quality. So they're looking at that. And I have to commend this city council for even addressing it, recognizing it, and trying to stare it in the face rather than look the other way. So this is what we're going to have in February. Now they're still working on it, but they're going to present what they have. They're trying to put together a tool so that if you're average citizen and you see an issue, a lot of people are intimidated. They don't know where to start. But this tool will help you know where to start, and it will also they're going to highlight some of the areas where they have worked and are currently working on disparities. And I think it'll be interesting. I don't think it'll be interesting. I know it will, but you'll enjoy it.
And it's Carlos Evans from the Office of the OEQS, Office of Environmental and Sustainability.
Yes, it's Carlos, and he may have another speaker with him, but for now we wanted to at least plug a name in so that somebody's accountable. And if people fall out on him, he's willing to be accountable and prepared to speak. They were in council meetings this is the beginning of the year, people going back into form. So he couldn't even I text him. I talked to Sue yesterday. I didn't get, and I sent them a reminder, 10 o'clock. They could not even break free until about 4:30, 5 o'clock when I was on my way home. So it's on my email, and I'll send it to you. For those of you on the call, tomorrow you'll see it posted on the website, but that's what it's about. And he sent a bio that you'll like, Victoria.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Renee always does a wonderful job with speakers. And so tell us too, since we've got everyone listening, what are some of the ideas that you're kicking around for March and April?
March, the feedback that I've gotten is we're gonna alternate. Kirk had even asked, with spring coming, we're gonna do. He's sending me a list of speakers we've had in the past that were pretty good. We're gonna do gardening. We're gonna do some gardening stuff because people are trying to get ready for the spring. And native plants and things like that always go over well because some people are just now getting into gardening and they don't know what to do. Some people are veteran gardeners, but the environment is changing, and some of the soil that people were using, some things are just a little different. So we're going to get some gardening people to show us things, tricks for growing roses, especially in the heat, that kind of stuff.
That'll be great.
Yeah, and then
Okay.
I'm still trying to get our leadership to come and just give an overview of, what their plan is for Sierra for the rest of the year. And then Kirk had one speaker. I'm not sure if we'll do April, or I think we'll do April with him if we can. He is a gentleman from Harvard who gives, and he gives talks on food sustainability.
Oh, fascinating.
And I think that would be pretty good.
That's awesome. So
that
you've got it
hits-
all lined up till May.
That food sustainability hits me where I live.
Where is it that you live, sir? What are you seeing?
Well, I'm in Dallas, but I'm a serious food person. I'm on the board of Slow Food DFW, and
Mhm.
that's my area.
Well, we would love to have you come and talk as well. Would
Yeah.
that be possible, Renee? Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I don't know if I'm quite prepared to do that but I'll think about it.
Do you have others on the
That's it.
group with?
Yes.
Okay, maybe they could help you put something together. We'd love to hear from you guys.
Okay. Unfortunately, the one who should speak to you left Dallas and moved to northern New Mexico.
And we're Zoom.
Yeah, they can zoom in. Yeah.
So maybe I could get her to do it.
Yeah, we're telling we're Zoom.
Okay.
That'd be great. Yeah, Peter, if you decide, Renee, your email address is renee@dallassierraclub.org, correct?
That's it. You can also send it to reneerobertson48@gmail.com.
Okay.
But I'm gonna start checking I'm trying to get better. I have like 4 emails now, because with the commissioners, we were given a city hall email, and sometimes it just doesn't work real well. So I went back to just using my personal email, which I freely give out. And then I'm going to start going to our website on Sierra more.
Okay, I'm going to type my name and email in chat. And you could send me your contact, then we can together.
That's a great idea. And Renee, I'm sure you wouldn't mind me saying to everyone listening, if you have an idea for a speaker or something that you would like to hear or see, please also feel free to email me, which is Victoria@dallassierraclub.org, or Renee, who's the program chair. We are open to all suggestions.
Oh, yeah. I've even thought about getting someone to talk about the grid.
Good idea.
All right, there it is.
Okay.
You see it?
I see it. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, friends, we are about 4 minutes away from officially starting the meeting. Does anyone have anything else that they would like to share in the last couple minutes before we officially start?
Yes, I wanted to point out that in attendance in the meeting is not only Jeannie FRITZ and her grandson Michael and her daughter Gail, but we also have Joe Wells. If you remember Joe Wells from Dallas County government and activism in the Sierra Club, and he is tuning in from New Mexico.
Wow. Well, hello. We've got some stars on here, haven't we?
Awesome.
And he and Ned work together on a lot of rivers work and also on big thicket work.
That's fabulous. Well, that's another nice advantage of having Zoom, is that regardless of where you are or what you're doing, you can be a part of the Dallas Sierra Club within the comfort of wherever, in your jammies, not in your jammies, however it works. So we'll welcome members and visitors and friends and newbies, all of you. We are so glad to see you. We're about 3 minutes away, but I'm going to go ahead and jump the gun a little bit and introduce myself and maybe fill you all in. You notice that I am not Dan Moulton, but I am the newly elected chair of the Dallas Sierra Club. My name is Victoria Howard. I have been the conservation and eco action chair, which I will continue to do. So I will wear 2 hats. And so I will be kind of sort of conducting the meeting with the help of all of my colleagues and of course our esteemed speakers tonight. So if there are questions. I think, Kristi and everyone, would you like questions during your talk, or would you like questions to be held at the end?
Put them clearly in the chat and have a typed question. And then John is going to read the questions, see if they've already been answered in our talk, and then read them to us at the end. We've left like 15 minutes for questions. So there's
Very
that's
good.
and comments.
Wonderful, wonderful. So you heard, gentlewoman, if you would please put your comments in the chat, they will be read for all of us to hear. Also, during, in advance of the meeting, you may get a message from me, for those of you that I don't know, asking for any way that we can help you. If you are interested in learning more about the Dallas Sierra Club, how to contact us, what we can do. For me personally, and I can speak for all of us on the Dallas Sierra Club and the Dallas Sierra Club XCOM, we consider you part of our environmental family. So the more that we can do to broaden that family and broaden the wonderful environmental advocacy that we all do, whether it's outwardly or inwardly or just in our daily lives, we want to do it. So we are always accessible to you all. You can go to our website, find all of our contact information, email us. You can message me, the whole shebang. So we are pleased as punch to see you all. It is exactly 7 o'clock tonight. And John, do we have all of our committee chairs here to start? It looks like we are close.
I think so.
Well, wonderful. Then I'm going to officially open the meeting. As I said, I'm Victoria Howard, newly elected chair of Dallas Sierra Club. We are very, very pleased to welcome our speakers tonight, Amy Martin and Kristi Leonard. They will take the floor, quote unquote, very, very soon. But we are going to go ahead and just touch base with all of our committee chairs and see if they have anything to update us on. I know Liz Wieland emailed me earlier today and said she had some announcements. So I'm going to let her lead us off. Liz?
Thank you, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am.
I was just responding. Gail had asked about a website address, and I'm guessing it had to do with the club. So it'd be DallasSierraClub.org. And if I missed, I just got home from work. So if you're talking about something else that you were asking about, please let us know. But that actual website address was something I was going to add. Victoria, I just want to clarify. I know I'm doing ICO outings. Am I also doing outings?
Yes. Okay. Yes, because both Lynn and Jim are out of town or busy today.
Okay, that's what I thought. I just didn't want to jump on anybody's toes.
No, thank you.
And I'll add to the welcome to everybody. This is exciting and we're thrilled, and I know it's going to be a great year. I'm looking forward to it. So in our outings program, as you probably know from COVID, we kind of had to slow up and stop, but getting back going. So we have several things coming up. I just wanted to highlight a couple of them. And these are on our website, all the details and the registrations, but both of them do require a pre-registration. So I just want to get it out there. On January 28th, we're bringing back and doing our ever popular beginner backpacking class. It's Backpacking 101. We spend from 10 till about 3:45, just having fun going through all the different parts of backpacking to help you get ready in whatever way is good for you. So those of you that have never done it, those of you who have done it a little, but it's been years, or you're a camper and you want to kind of see what it's about, or you're just a camper and you want to maybe learn some new ideas about equipment and skills and that kind of thing. It's real low key, very informational. And I would just encourage anybody that's interested to let us know. It's in Dallas at the Preston Royal Branch Library. But we do have a pre-registration. I'm the contact for that, and it's all on the website. That is Saturday, January 28th. Shortly after that, February 8th to 12th is our trip Big Bend National Park. This is an annual outing we've been doing for 35 years. It's just such a special place in Texas. It's a jewel. If you've never been, you have to go to call yourself a Texan. And if you have gone several times, you know that you can go year after year and it's still wonderful. So we have different levels of hike group. One group is backpacking, excuse me, the other two are just base camping. So whatever comfort level you have, you do drive yourself or carpool with others. Unfortunately, we don't have the wonderful sleeper buses we used to have because of the law change that would require seatbelts, which you can't do on a sleeper bus. So anyway, we can make that work. All the information's on there. So that's for outings. And I will jump into our ICO, which stands for Inspiring Connections Outdoors, our outreach program. And we are adult volunteers who we're an all volunteer group. And the whole idea is to get underserved kids out into nature. So and again, with COVID, we haven't been able to do anything, but I'm thrilled after 3 years off trail, we're able to get back on trail. We've got just a really wonderful new agency we're going to be working with called Wesley Rankin from West Dallas. They're over 100 years old. They've got all different ages and stages of kids, and we're going to do all different kind of things with them. So, but you do have to do a little bit of paperwork since we're an organization that works with youth. We do a little bit of training. We're going to do it all the afternoon of Sunday, January 29th. So just the day after the backpacking class. If that's of interest to you, please contact me and I'll get you the details. Thank you, Victoria.
Welcome. You are welcome. Thank you, Liz. That's a fabulous update.
Can you hear me, Victoria?
Yes, ma'am. Go right ahead,
good,
please.
Good. I'm running a double screen tonight and I haven't done it in a little bit. And I don't want to have any technical problems when I do the introduction.
No, you're doing fabulous. You're doing fabulous. You do too much, girl. You got 2 screens going, so many things. It doesn't look like David Griggs, our political chair, is here. So we are going to skip over him. And if he shows up before we formally begin, we'll let him.
Do you want me to talk about what David does this time of year for us?
Sure.
Okay, I'm on his political committee, and one of the things that's great, he and Rita will put together the platforms and reach out to the candidates to see. There's a questionnaire they send them. Some people are not very good about sending it back, but for the ones that we get back, that way we know where they stand on conservation and things of that nature. And that helps a lot of people, a lot of voters, because some people have never heard of the candidate. And if they have heard of them, they don't know their stand on conservation. And so he puts that together, and we're coming up on election time for our council people.
Oh, wonderful. And so Renee, John just put the slide up. I'm not sure if you can see it. Is this the best address to get involved politically if people would like? TurnTexasGreen.org?
I think that would work. I don't know that it's not. I'm not going to say it's the best, but I think that would work.
They can also email David Griggs, right? David at DallasSierraClub.org. So,
and he loved that. He loved that.
Yes, we always need help. Name a committee and we need help. So big ways, small ways, always. Wonderful. Well, Renee, you did fabulous filling in for David. I appreciate that. I'm going to go next with just a small update from Conservation Eco Action. John had the slide earlier, letting everyone know that we have a separate Conservation Eco Action Zoom on the 4th Sunday of every month at 5 p.m. There are around 13 members now, and we actually have, I'm not sure if everyone knows this, we actually have Dallas Sierra clubs in local high schools. So we have 3 right now, always hoping to add more. Capel, Irving, and hopefully officially Richardson, and perhaps UTD. Fingers crossed, update on that one. So we in conservation welcome everyone, every age, every background. It doesn't matter. You are important to us and we need you. So if you have any inkling, please contact me. I'll send you the Zoom link. You're welcome to listen. You're welcome to participate. Whatever it is groovy with us. Also, I just saw that my new vice chair, Catherine Bazan, just logged in. Catherine, would you like to tell everyone and remind them that tomorrow is the Environmental Commission meeting? Please and thank you.
Oh, yes. Sorry, I was on not muted. I assumed that I was. Yes, tomorrow evening is the Environmental Commission's meeting. We meet both virtually and in person at Dallas City Hall. You can find information about the commission at dallasclimateaction.com. And also you can download a link to our agenda, which tomorrow evening is going to be pretty lengthy. We have some equity indicators, a recommendation for equity indicators pertaining to environmental justice for the city's racial equity plan. We also have a recommendation on the updated building codes and net zero policy. We're going to receive a Texas legislative update. So all of the environmental bills that have been filed to date, we're going to be learning about those. As I understand it, there are numerous bills that pertain to concrete batch plant that we are following very closely. And then we have a couple of new city programs. There is a climate resiliency whole home program that the city is going to be launching, as well as a green jobs program, which is pretty exciting. And then we also have our annual board and commission report for 2022 that's out, and you can access all of that information, the presentations ahead of time, or at your convenience at bit.ly/Jan11EC for Environmental Commission. And the last part of that link is uppercase, and I'm going to pop it into the chat.
Brilliant. Fabulous. That is super concise and incredibly helpful. And if there is any way that I can log on and listen in tomorrow, I will. I think I'm triple booked for meetings tomorrow, so I may be juggling 2 screens like Renee. But I will tell you all, Catherine runs a wonderful, well-organized, no-nonsense meeting. So things, even though it's very, very packed with information, it moves very smoothly and very quickly. So please consider logging in and learning how environmentalism not only goes from conception to action, but also how everyone can support that process. So thank you, Catherine. And Renee, before I turn it over to you to not only plug our upcoming meetings, which you did a little bit before, but also introduce our wonderful speakers, I wanted to formally thank Dan Moulton, who I saw logged on just in the last couple minutes, for being our former chair for 3 years.
Yes.
And tell him that he is valued, and we very much appreciate all that he did as our fearless leader. Dan, do you want to say anything, or just give me the thumbs up virtually?
It was 4 years.
4 years. It felt like 3, dear. It went like that. Are those the parting words as chair? Would you like to say anything else?
Carry on.
Carry on. Well, thank you, Dan.
5.
Very pithy, wise words, my friend. Renee, carry on. Introduce us to our new speakers for tonight and plug us for next month.
Okay.
We'll be late for the trivia.
Say it again. Are we ready?
Go ahead, Renee.
Okay. You can still hear me, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. First of all, I would like to invite everybody to go to the Sierra Club's website and slowly read all the attributes of Ned FRITZ. Because I'm not going to read everything. I'm going to spend that time hitting the highlights, but if you guys would read that, take some time out to go to our website and go to the Tuesday, January 10th meeting. You can see everything. We have the pleasure and honor. I understand his wife, Jeannie, is on the call. And is it a grandson as well? I thought I heard. Okay, we'd like to welcome you and thank you for joining, and we want to do honor. So let me get started. So the Ned FRITZ legacy is what's featured on our website for this month. Ned FRITZ is one of Texas' most impactful environmentalists. If you guys are not aware of what he did, he built a coalition that defeated the Trinity River Barge Canal and brought initial attention to the Great Trinity Forest. In addition, he added crucial organizations and legislative acumen that led to the creation of the Big Thicket National Preserve. As the first acquisition chair of the Nature Conservatory, Texas, and co-founder of the Texas Land Commission, Ned, with the help of his wife, Jeannie, started the state's land trust movement, and with their group Texas Committee on Natural Resources, now called the Texas Conservation Alliance, they fought clear-cutting the East Texas National Forest and shepherded several wilderness areas. Okay, so that just so to give you an idea. So we have with us as our speakers, journalist Amy Martin. Amy Martin won an award from Ned's Texas Committee on Natural Resources, and she's enjoyed a 45-year writing career for local and national publications, alternating between entertainment and environmental journalism. She's currently senior feature writer for Green Source DFW. Her third book, Wild DFW, Explore the Amazing Nature Around Dallas-Fort Worth, will be published in late summer 2023 by Timber Press. Kristi Kerr Leonard leads restoration efforts on the Ned and Jeannie FRITZ Texas Buckeye Trails in the Great Trinity Forest. After receiving an MBA from the American School of International Business, Kristi enjoyed a long career at the Richards Group Advertising Agency, and she now uses her skills to maintain estates of high net worth individuals and serves as marketing director for C3 Financial Services and the Bottoms Group. So without further ado, I'd like to present our speakers.
Hi.
Hi, we're ready. We're sharing the screen and very excited.
Okay.
Here we go.
All right. Is it looking good?
Yes.
Okay. I also wanted to mention before we get started that we have a whole freaking Fritz family involved. We have daughter Gail and daughter Judy are also here. There's another daughter named Eileen, but she's teaching tonight. And then we have grandson Michael McKee. And I also noticed that we have Alan Steelman with us. And Alan Steelman was a congressman and worked very actively with Ned to defeat the Trinity Barge Canal scheme that went on. And the 50th anniversary of the Trinity Barge Canal vote, where people put an end to at least put an end to the funding of it, that is coming up on March 12th. So we'll talk a little more about that in the Q&A. All right, I'm going to get going.
I'm going to go on ahead and suggest that you hit F5 so that we can actually see the slideshow.
That help?
No. Did you, are you using two screens?
No. That brought up my...
You didn't hit F5. We're on a Mac.
Just a minute. For some reason, it's playing music. Okay. And let's try F. I put in F6. Okay. How about F5? Did that work?
Now just go up to the top where it says slideshow. And then play from start to the left.
Okay.
There you go. There.
Okay.
Great.
So I can't read my notes.
Okay, you got it right there.
Okay. Just a second. All righty. The Big Thicket, a wet and wooded part of Southeast Texas that holds incredible diversity, now a national preserve. 5 protected wilderness areas in the National Forests of East Texas, covering 37,000 acres. Click. That one. Oops. We'll get this down here in just a second. The first 16 preserves acquired by the Nature Conservancy Texas, including Roy E. Larson Sandy Land Sanctuary and what became the Atwater Prairie Chicken National Wildlife Refuge.
This one?
This.
Which one?
This one. Okay. The over 120,000 acres of, well, let's see, go back one more. We'll get it here. The over 120,000 acres of open space protected by Texas Land Conservancy, including Cibolo Creek, Los Rincones, Oak Cliff, Kachina, and Mary C. Prairie Preserves. Trinity River Treasures, including North Texas.
Hold the screen script up.
Okay.
You're looking at the screen.
Okay. Trinity River Treasures, including the North Texas preserves like Joppy, Goat Island, and McComas Bluff. National wildlife management areas like Richland Creek and Gus Ingling, the Trinity River National Wildlife Refuge. North Texas preserves in the Dallas County open space system, such as Cedar Ridge, Spring Creek Forest, and 18 more. How many of you have spent time in any of these places? I bet a lot of you have. Go ahead. How about participating in Lights Out Texas or volunteering with the Texas Conservation Alliance? Do you love golden eagles, Harris hawks, golden cheek warblers, or red cockaded woodpeckers? You have Ned Fritz to thank for all these things. I'm Amy Martin.
And this is Kristi Leonard.
And we're here to inspire you about Ned Fritz, a Dallas resident for decades with his wife, Jeannie, and their children. If you're into Texas nature, chances are you're impacted by his legacy every day.
Ned Fritz's legacy. Amy's upcoming book. Okay, would you do it where I can see if I'm on the screen or not? Amy's upcoming book, Wild DFW for Timber Press, includes a chapter on the Ned and Jeannie Fritz Texas Buckeye Trail. It is located in the marginalized Black and Brown neighborhood called Ideal Bonton. Each spring in the 70s and 80s, Ned led very popular hikes to see the Buckeyes bloom. Over time, volunteers made a series of trails. But people on their own got lost because the soft surface trails are narrow and overgrown. Also, privet has nearly overtaken the Buckeyes. So I started up regular days at Trinity Coalition with Trinity Coalition and North Texas Master Naturalists to restore the trails.
I don't know why it's not going forward.
Hold on just a second.
For some reason, our slideshow stopped. Okay.
There you go.
Great.
Many in the neighborhood, this is one of our hikes, harbor deep mistrust of the forest. So far, we have taken about 75 ideal Bonton neighbors to the trail for the very first time. More neighborhood and public walks are planned this spring. When I first started the restoration, I found that information about Ned was disappearing online. Amy noticed it too while writing her book. Ned's legacy was in danger of slipping away. Thus, the website in tribute to Ned and Jeannie is like a book biography, and it will cover his entire life. Next. We've been working with our friends, Jeannie Fritz and daughter Eileen McKee. They and the extended family are thrilled for us to preserve Ned's legacy as Texas's greatest environmentalist and the founder of Texas Nature Preservation and Land Trusts. As a famed forest defender, we consider him to be the living Lorax of Texas. We are honored to have extraordinary community support for this project, including the Dallas Sierra Club. Thank you. Our goal with this presentation and the website is to inspire people with just what one dedicated activist can do for nature. With his passionate outreach, education, and volunteering, Ned set the standard for being a master naturalist before there was even such a thing. Jeannie is an honorary North Texas Master Naturalist, and Ned was given that status posthumously this year.
Need to figure out how to get the Zoom back on the screen somehow. Okay, thank you, Kristi. The Ned Fritz Legacy website, which is nedfritz.com, will cover his amazing career as a consumer rights lawyer and impressive racial justice work that he and Jeannie did in the 50s and 60s. It focuses on his astounding eco-activism in the 60s to 80s, and it concludes with his many awards in the 90s and his deeply philosophical, unpublished works from the late in life.
Wait, let me do it.
Okay. Ned was born in Philadelphia in 1916, but lucky for us, Ned's family moved to a home on the outskirts of Tulsa, where the Osage Hills unfurled endlessly. Nature immediately captivated him. Ned flourished in the Boy Scouts, acquiring a superb nature education, learning to identify hundreds of plants and birds. As a high school student, Ned knew he wanted to be a writer and a lawyer. Upon graduation, he went to Chicago's pre-law program and then later to SMU's, what became SMU's Dedman School of Law. But shortly after, shortly after getting a law degree, World War II intervened. He joined the Naval Air after Pearl Harbor. He is passionate about defending democracy. A natural as an educator, he became a flight instructor based at Corpus Christi, even teaching future President Herbert Walker Bush how to fly. While visiting Austin one weekend, he met Jeannie Dunn at UT, and he was captivated, and they fell in love. Ned was transferred to San Diego, and after graduating, she followed him there. They quickly married and soon had a daughter, the first of 4 that they would raise. After war's end, or somewhere we're on the debtor book. Go back one more. Yeah. After war's end, they soon settled in Dallas. Ned developed a specialty in defending people of color and poor people against loan sharks. Through his appellate cases, he developed a whole body of consumer law, quite an accomplishment for somebody in their 20s. He worked on a state level, teaching Black and Hispanic lawyers on how to defend their communities. Then he was tapped by President LBJ to work nationally on consumer affairs. Ned and Jeannie were some of the earliest white activists for racial justice in Dallas. Jeannie conducted one of the first sting operations to prove that Blacks were being redlined from buying property. Working with the JCs, Ned got land donated for a park in West Dallas so Hispanic children could play outdoors. Their compassion is extraordinary. Okay. Ned's love of birds started young. He got deeply active with the Texas Ornithological Society in the early 50s. By mid-decade, he was using his lawyer skills to win protections for golden eagles and Harris hawks, which were being relentlessly hunted by air by West Texas ranchers. Then in the mid-50s, Ned attended a big Audubon summer. We should go back to Audubon, Texas.
It's just not cooperating.
It isn't. Okay, whatever. There we go. In the mid-50s, Ned attended a big Audubon summer conference held outdoors in the Hill Country. He had a revelation. To protect birds, you had to preserve habitat. At this time, Jeannie is making huge strides in the League of Women Voters. After one of the League state conferences in the 50s, Jeannie shared some inside news that was bad for habitat, real bad. Elected officials and politically connected business interests were seriously planning to dam just about every river. It should show a picture of a river. There we go. Dam about every river in East Texas for reservoirs. Much of the water would have been shipped to West Texas for agriculture in a desert. Damming and using the Palo Duro Canyon for a holding tank was considered utter insanity. Working with activists statewide, that version of the Texas Water Plan was thwarted. It is so weird. There we go. Okay, next one. Ned the Landman was born. Nature must be saved by the scheme from the schemes cooked up by a collision of government and industry. Soon, he was at the ground floor of the state's land trust movement by helping form the Nature Conservancy Texas. In 1964, land trusts were immune from profiteers. He served as its first acquisitions director. Right away, well, more or less, 16 areas preserved, either through purchase or conservation easement. His first eventually became the Atwater Prairie Chicken National Wildlife Refuge. Woohoo! In the 60s, Ned saw a need to identify natural areas around the state and start efforts to preserve them from plots like the Texas Water Plan. He identified places crucial to wildlife, of special beauty, exceptional diversity, or just significant in some way. He brought in map professionals, geologists, experts in plants, animals, and ecosystems. The Texas Natural Areas Survey became a project of environmental students at SMU. One of them was John Bryan, who would become a U.S. representative and powerful ally. Cities, counties, and state governments used it to identify land for parks and preserves. So did land trusts and conservation buyers. Its impact still reverberates. Okay.
The big thicket.
While Ned's surveying the state and leading land trust acquisitions, he's helping raise 4 daughters and maintaining a legal career. Very busy dude, but he can't sleep. There's land to be saved, and what was bugging him the most was the big thicket. Naturalists had been trying to save the unique and delicate big thicket ecosystem for decades. By the late 60s, the land was increasingly coveted by voracious timber and oil interests. Within those trying to save the big thicket, disagreements abounded on its borders, what could be saved, and how it should be done. Ned's activist approach was either greatly appreciated or greatly not. But he helped turn its preservation from a regional to a state campaign, bringing in a host of Texas allies that were desperately needed. And he knew inclusion in the National Park Service was the only way to save something this large and complex. Ned's goal was national legislation to preserve the thicket. There was one major roadblock among several: Timber Charlie. The infamous Charlie Wilson, U.S. representative from Southeast Texas. But Ned kept working on Wilson and eventually got him to more or less cooperate. When the Park Service balked at the big thicket as not park material, Ned urged the creation of a new Park Service category of national preserve. Less amenities than a park, more protection, much more than a national forest. Big thicket pioneer Geraldine Watson said, "Without Ned Fritz, we would have never gotten the bills passed. Ned had all the knowledge of how to deal with the politics, legislation, and all of that." The imitable big thicket biologist Maxine Johnston, pictured here between Ned and Charlie Wilson, what a place to be, said Ned logged more time in big thicket forests and in Washington offices than anyone. And he taught us not only about our biodiversity, but also about politics.
Meridian State Park.
In the middle of the big thicket fight in 1967, Ned learned that Farmers Home Administration, a taxpayer-funded federal entity, planned to loan money to investors to create a golf course in Meridian State Park, northwest of Plano. This was prime golden cheek warbler habitat. Plans called for clearing over 60 acres of very old oaks and juniper. They depend on the bark of those for nesting material. Ned went ballistic. Plowing the shallow soil for golf course Bermuda sod installation would unleash erosion, harming the park's bass fishing lake. Few area residents could afford the course fees, and Blacks and Hispanics were not welcome. The golf course was an hour's drive away from any significant population center. The whole thing stunk. With Meridian, Ned would perfect the approach that underlaid all future activism: coalition building, media outreach, involvement of the public, recruiting governmental agencies, and lobbying an array of elected officials. Pre-internet, he did it all with letters, phone calls, and flyers. First step, sound the alarm and notify the allies. Second step, marshal experts to impress officials. Frederick Gelbach, an esteemed ornithologist professor from Baylor, was crucial. Ned found U.S. Fish and Wildlife and Texas Parks and Wildlife biologists to speak about the unique aspect of warblers' habitat found at Meridian. Step 3, go back one. Step 3, find a coalition. Ned reached out to the usual bird watchers, naturalists, and hikers, but he also contacted bass groups about the threat to their lake. He got his racial justice contacts from the 50s to write elected officials and newspapers and ask why tax money was going to an enterprise where Blacks and Hispanics were not welcome. Go ahead. Step 4, notify the media. Ned sent letters to newspapers, television, and radio stations in Dallas, Fort Worth, Austin, and Houston. He contacted regional papers too. Step 5, involve the public. Ned convinced dozens of people to write newspaper and magazine letters to the editor. He exhorted them to write their elected officials and Texas Parks and Wildlife. Thousands of letters were generated. Step 6, make it a big deal. Ned staged public awareness events at the park with bird watching and walks through the oak juniper ecosystem. People came from all over the state. Step 7, lobby officials. He lobbied officials from local commissioners to U.S. Senator Ralph Yarborough to a Supreme Court justice he knew was a birder. Go ahead. That's it. No, there's one more. Step 8, enact policy change. Weird. Ned's goal was to block approval of a $70,000 federal loan that would finance the lease of the golf course. When the loan was approved, despite the considerable opposition Ned had marshaled, he filed the first lawsuit under the National Environmental Policy Act. Approval of the loan was rescinded. Go, Ned.
Organization man.
Crucial to the Big Thicket Meridian fights was a Texas Committee on Natural Resources called TCONR, which Ned and Jeannie founded in 1966. TCONR was pivotal in the Texas environmental movement. We know them now as Texas Conservation Alliance. Around 1970, as was his goal since college, Ned stopped working full-time as a lawyer to focus on environmental concerns. That year, he formed Save Open Space, called SOS. Their lobbying helped establish the Dallas County Open Space System. And they were the first to take on environmental racism in Dallas by environmental group to take on environmental racism in Dallas by fighting West and South Dallas-based sources of air pollution. SOS was extremely powerful in North Texas eco-politics for over 2 decades. In the 1960s and 80s, Ned received numerous major national awards. Here's just a partial list. There's a full list under Ned in a nutshell at the website.
The Great Weed War. In 1971 to 1972, Ned was the first to garner national attention for native plants. Ned and Jeannie had purchased land off Bachman Creek in 1952 and built a home. He kept the yard wild like a prairie. Their place was across the creek from where we raised our children, Kira and Killian, on this call. If anyone asked where Ned lived, we all knew to say the house with the wild yard. But as the street gentrified, not all neighbors approved. And eventually the city weed inspector was called and called and called. Each time, Ned beat it back with technicalities. The city threatened to take him to court. What a mistake that was. The trial, called the Great Weed War, gained nationwide attention. The key was the definition of what constituted a weed. The decision was that a weed was an unwanted plant. Ned wanted all those plants, and so do we. He enthralled the jury with a slideshow in their passionate defense, sharing the botanical names and qualities of each one. The jury was swayed. Ned won. A few years later, he received a major award from Native Plant Society of Texas. Back to Amy.
Sorry, I should have slipped my pages there. Okay. The Trinity fight. Then came the late 60s and early 70s fight over the Trinity Barge Canal. Endorsed by just about every politician, chamber of commerce, and business group in North Texas, the plan was to straighten and channelize the Trinity River from Fort Worth to the Gulf of Mexico. A series of dams and locks were required to make this happen. The canal would cost over $1 billion in 1970s dollars. Much of it the taxpayers would fund. For barge traffic, in an era of fast trains and faster planes, a huge international airport was being built just 20 miles away. Ned was incensed. Massive destruction of habitat to benefit a small niche of businesses for barge traffic in an era of fast trains and faster planes. Notify the environmental community, check. Alert the media, check. Make political allies, check. The most crucial was Alan Steelman, a Republican environmentalist and fiscal conservative who was running for U.S. representative against Earl Cabot. Another Republican, Steve Bartlett, who would later become mayor of Dallas, eventually came on board. Ned built a coalition, Citizens Organization for a Sound Trinity, or COST. An SMU theologian, James F. White, who thought the canal was a boondoggle, led the committee. Also from SMU, economics professor Don Smith, who could see the lies in the canal proponents' rosy numbers. The archaeology department came on board and did a survey of all of the ancient history that would be lost if the river were channelized. Ned reached out, there we go. Ned reached out to landowners in the 15 other counties in East Texas whose ancestral lands along the river, their favorite fishing places, lush cattle fields, immense pecan groves, and deer hunting areas would be destroyed. The public was largely on board with the canal. The river was already used as an open sewer by industry, from the Fort Worth slaughterhouses dumping cow carcasses to toxic chemicals from industry to cities dumping untreated sewage. It was smelled more than it was seen. But Ned knew the Trinity's potential. He led dozens of canoe trips with Jeannie and took media representative and others into the Great Trinity Forest stretch where the waters were still decent. This broad-based coalition was painted by canal proponents as extremists, even though Texas Parks and Wildlife called the canal plans, quote, ecological devastation. even though the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, who was going to build the canal, admitted it would make flooding worse in many areas. Ned kept puncturing proponents' arguments with his superb lawyer skills. Here he is instructing the troops. Then Steelman won his election by a wide margin against the popular and very pro-canal Earl Cabell. A bond election had to be held in the 17 counties along the Trinity since taxpayers were on line for $150 million in seed money just to start. Cost went into action with bumper stickers and more. At the vote, the citizens' answer was a firm no. Now the Trinity River in Dallas is where hotels and businesses want to be. It hosts the National Park Service's Trinity River Paddling Trail. It is lined with significant parks and preserves like the Great Trinity Forest, but the impact went beyond nature. The coalition, especially Steelman's vision, kept Dallas from being turned into an industrial city with barges the size of warehouses plowing right past downtown. The design district, now so treasured by business community, would have been an industrial zone. All of this is because of Ned. While fighting the canal, Ned discovered an exceptional grove of Texas buckeye trees, now home to the Ned and Jeannie Fritz Texas Buckeye Trail. This is their daughter, Eileen.
Clear cutting.
Then came the fight of Ned's life. It started in the late 70s in the Four Notch area of the Sam Houston National Forest in East Texas, a stunning woods of loblolly and shortleaf pines, white oaks, hickory, sweet gums, bald beech, and southern magnolia. The Sierra Club's Lone Star hiking trail went right through the area. Again, Ned was incensed. Why did the profit motive of lumber companies ride herd over every National Forest Service decision? Clear cutting was against the multi-use mission the service was charged to uphold. Yes, timber harvesting was part of multi-use, but clear cutting was not. It punished hikers, bird watchers, and naturalists. More than that, clear cutting is ecologically cruel. Every tree is cut and the larger ones removed for harvest. Smaller trees are pushed into piles and the forest burned, destroying the understory. Rows and rows of fast-growing loblolly pines are planted and maintained with an onslaught of herbicides. A sterile forest, no place for wildlife. In 3 decades, the pines would be harvested and the process started again. Ned and T. Connor filed a lawsuit in '76 to stop clear cutting, charging numerous violations of federal regulations contained in the Wilderness Act, Endangered Species Act, National Environmental Policy Act, and the Forest Service own Multiple Use Sustained Yield Act. Media conferences were held, many of them in East Texas, where the natives were not friendly about it. The fight was extremely contentious, both within nature groups and between them and the Forest Service. The suit was heard in the East Texas Federal Court of Judge William Wayne Justice, who found in T. Connor's favor. The victory was short-lived, and the decision struck down in federal appeals court. Much of the forest was razed. Ned was devastated. Jeannie encouraged him to write a book about it that became Sterile Forest, the case against clear cutting. We have some rare hardbook copies signed by Jeannie, who was essentially the editor on the book, and typed all of it up. With its publication in 1983, clear cutting was fully a nationwide fight with Congress in the crosshairs. I know.
Texas wilderness.
This is Ned, by the way, at a Sierra Club gathering. Ned fueled a forest reform movement beginning in 1980 with the first wilderness powwow in East Texas. People came from all over to learn from Ned how to take on forest profiteers. As much revival as information exchange, Ned made it fun. So did Bill Oliver's singing. Ned and T. Connor went to work to designate 64,000 acres permanently as wilderness to save them from clear cutting. U.S. Representative John Bryant of Dallas became the sponsor of the federal Texas Wilderness Act, even though none of the acreage was in his district. Much of it was in Timber Charlie's. And he was unhappy with Bryant and displeased to have Ned up in his business again. The act required that land for wilderness be contiguous. So Ned and Jeannie created the Natural Areas Preservation Association. They set about purchasing or getting conservation easements, so wilderness areas were linked. Their first property was Catahoula Forest Preserve, adjacent to the Upland Island Wilderness area in northern Big Thicket.
That's where his ashes were spread.
And that's where his ashes are spread, by the way. Now known as Texas Land Conservancy, the first Texas-only land trust, it conserves and preserves over 120,000 acres. Negotiations continued and timber interests whittled that down to 34,000 acres, cut it by half. Timber Charlie finally gave in, the act passed. Now, thanks to John Bryant on the left, we have Big Slough, Indian Mounds, Little Lake Creek, Turkey Island, and Upland Island wildernesses. Ned's Victory Lap was an absolutely beautiful book full of practicalities, prose, and photographs called Realms of Beauty, the Wilderness Areas of East Texas. It's highly recommended. A Grateful State declared Ned Fritz Day as September 24th, 1983. Do you think it ought to be an annual observance?
Yes.
Yes, it must be. Let's do this thing.
Beetles and beyond.
Then the southern pine beetles, already a major pest in forests, got established in Indian Mound Wilderness. The Forest Service wanted to do clear cuts in the name of control. Ned insisted it would destroy the red-cockaded woodpecker that depended on old growth pines. It was in steep decline and headed for extinction. Another lawsuit ensued. It was highly technical and long-lived fight. In the process, some of the forest was napalmed. But Ned and T. Connor forced the Forest Service to start taking seriously a holistic approach to forest management that prized diversity and respected all users. It's a fight that is continuing. Ned took his message national, touring the Midwest and Southeast, flying over forests to review clear-cutting damage. He made forays to the Pacific Northwest to work for forests and the spotted owls. He trained activists wherever he went. The forest reform movement became a national force. He was and still is a forest hero, which is why he's in the Texas naturalist textbooks, not once, but twice. Ned took all that he learned from his forest fights and compiled it into Clear Cutting, a crime against nature, published in 1969, with Jeannie as typist and, again, essentially the editor. I've seen the before and afters of Ned's notes and what Jeannie comes up with, and her work was amazing. It is a formidable argument against clear cutting, and it is still used 30 years later in conservation education. Here's Kristi. Ned's golden years.
Ned's golden years. And yet, Ned was not finished. In the 90s, he mentored a woman, Joanne Hill, to start Dallas's first recycling center since the city of Dallas had refused. Its success eventually led to today's municipal curbside recycling. Thanks, Ned and Joanne. Ned crafted Dallas's first tree ordinance in 93, and in 96 helped start the Dallas Historic Tree Coalition with Steve Hauser, which became the Texas Historic Tree Coalition. When business and political interests decided to put a toll road between giant levees and a floodplain, they thought it was a good idea. Ned came forward with crucial information from his Trinity Canal fight that sealed the road's fate. But mainly, Ned was showered with major awards on a state and national level, as you can see on the screen. And this is just a partial list for you to glance through. Impressive, huh? In 2019, Jeannie was honored, and Ned posthumously, by the Dallas City Council with the naming of the Ned and Jeannie Fritz Texas Buckeye Trail. That's Jeannie in the middle after the ceremony with their daughter, Eileen, beside her. However, after the naming, the trail was not maintained against privet infestation, which is why I started the monthly work days. Now you can actually see the Buckeyes. Conclusion. I know, it's just got a mind of its own.
It does, it really does. We think Ned's is an exciting story to tell, an important story to tell, and I'll continue writing Ned Fritz legacy this year. Crafting a dramatic and compelling tale with so much more than we were able to cover tonight with much greater detail. You'll discover his poems and even unpublished writings, along with incredible tributes to Jeannie and Ned. You'll see photographs and some very rare films. Follow the process of creating a book at our blog. Please visit the website, nedfritz.com, and sign up for the newsletter.
We'd appreciate, hold on, nope. We'd appreciate your financial support of the Fritz Legacy Project, financially, as well as with tributes of Ned if he influenced you. We are especially in need of photos and videos, as everything he did was pretty much before, digital.
Last year was shit. Your upcoming year is going to be shit. You look like shit. You think like shit.
Keep talking.
Everything about you is shit.
We have some rare hardbook copies.
Massive dramatic overhaul of your entire existence.
Signed by Jeannie. If interested, contact us.
By some freak accident, and I pray to God.
Ned means a great deal.
You please.
Stay even in death.
Hold on, Amy. John, you need to take this guy off that has hacked into the Zoom.
Yeah, I'm trying. Give me a minute.
We'll just keep talking loud. Ned means a great deal to us, and we hope by now he means a great deal to you too. And so we'll leave you with a little bit of Ned's poetry from a book self-published by the family after his death. We're happy to answer questions after.
Everybody loves talk.
I'm Amy Martin.
And this is Kristi Leonard. I'm going to share this poem. It's from a book he wrote, a book of poetry that Jeannie and the family published. The title of this poem is called Wilderness Dedication. Oh, great spirit of earth and sky, once again, we, your children, are returned unto you. We are penitent about the devastation we have committed upon the earth and the pollution we have spread to the skies. We pledge that we will make all sacrifices necessary to clean up our corruption and will share our bounty with all other living things, creatures that do not threaten our survival. As tokens of our sincerity, we dedicate the finest remaining examples of our natural heritage as wilderness, never to be abused or befouled, always to be enjoyed and cherished.
So thank you very much. We're happy to take your questions. Sorry for my computer having a very twitchy forwarding arrow.
So we're ready, John. Oh, there he is.
There he is speaking the poem at the powwow.
Yep. John, if you've got the questions in the chat, or if someone wants to unmute and ask a question, let's go.
I'd like to
Yes,
ask
I was
a
going to
question.
say, the only question, let me see, we had a couple. The SOS organization that Ned had founded.
Yes.
Has there been any organization that really morphed from that and is in existence today?
No, there's definitely a need for it. Dallas Sierra Club is kind of, been the leader on that since they basically disbanded. But no, they were really and truly an amazing organization that, for instance, was the first to fight concrete batch plants in Dallas.
Wow.
Quite a few of the founding members have passed away. And there's a couple left at our church, First Unitarian Church of Dallas's, which was Ned and is currently Jeannie's church. Looks like Liz Whelan has a question. Feel free.
I was going to make a comment. I don't know how many of you wear this. I know it's not the national level as prestigious as some of the others, but our highest Dallas Sierra Club award we created as the Ned FRITZ Award. It was presented to him in person. I'm going to say around 97, 98, 99, somewhere in there. Jeannie may remember. We've given it to just a couple of members since then, but we consider it our highest honor.
It is in our list on Ned in a Nutshell at nedfritz.com. We do have it in our list of awards.
And if you have any photos of that event, we would really love to include it.
Fabulous.
Sure. Okay, Mr. Wells, you've got your hand raised.
I got to go to the Northern Regional Group Sierra Club XCOM meeting in about two minutes. So I wanted to say how worthwhile I think this project is. For me, Ned, the best thing about Ned was how effective he was at involving citizens in really meaningful ways in their governmental processes where they felt like they were really making a difference. And there are a whole lot of people, I'm one of them, but there are an awful lot of people that are still involved in environmental groups and politics that he pushed in that direction and gave them the tools to be effective. So I had a good time looking through files, and I'm sending you all some information and a video if I can get it digitized. I've got COVID right now, so when that's done, I'll send you the mail. But anyway, I'm glad you did this, and it's a very, very worthwhile project. Thanks very much.
Yes, we on the website, we go into quite a bit of detail about how Ned's legacy is really the future generations that he inspired. For instance, the Texas Committee on Natural Resources and then Texas Conservation Alliance was run by Janice Bezanza for decades, and she is now retired and is an advisor. Her son, who grew up at the powwows, he is involved in acquisitions with the Texas Nature Conservancy, the Nature Conservancy in Texas. There are just so many that he inspired, and he helped them believe in themselves. And that's one of the things that we want to do with this project is show people just what one person can do. Now, he was an exceptional person, but we can all do something. And yes, thank you for pointing that out. His legacy is generational. Yes.
We have a question. What did Ned think was his greatest accomplishment?
Gosh, that's a good question. In my materials that I found about him, I have not gone across that, but I would suspect it would be the establishment of the Texas wildernesses. That he knew that when he did that, he had basically kind of had a victory over the National Forest Service.
Jeannie, would Jeannie like to make a comment here? She knew him the best.
Well,
Jeannie loved the call.
Jeannie said she's going to get going, but she says thank you very much.
Okay.
But I suspect that it would be the establishment of the Texas wilderness areas, because it brought together so many things. And from that establishment of those wilderness areas, the National Forest Reform Movement was born.
any more, another question, John?
Amy and Kristi, just one comment. And Amy, you mentioned briefly this being the 50th year following the defeat of the Trinity Barge Canal bond election. And you mentioned we are going to have a celebration of that.
Yes.
Sometime in April, date still to be determined. And it'll be at the Angelica, and it'll be in conjunction with KERA. So I hope everyone will put that on your calendar. We'll let you know when it's going to be, but I just wanted to mention that once again, Amy.
Thank you for reminding me about that. Yes, because the 50th anniversary is March 12th of this year, start looking for a lot of media coverage. In fact, I was confirmed today that D Magazine is going to be doing 2 features about it in the print edition of March. We're going to be screening the KERA documentary from 2009 called Living with the Trinity, which looked back at the Trinity Barge Canal fight and put it in context of the cultural happenings at the time. It's a very good documentary, about 55 minutes long. And we're going to be screening it at the Angelica Dallas, the one on Mockingbird, sometime in the first 2 weeks of April on a weekday. We're not going to be doing it on top of the Sierra Club meeting or the North Texas Master Naturalist meetings. It's going to be extraordinary to be able to see this video on the big screen. And we will have some of the filmmakers will be in attendance, including Rob Tranchen and some of the others and the executive producer, Sylvia Komatsu. So you can ask questions about what it was like. And I was chatting with Rob today about how much fierce feedback he got about celebrating essentially the defeat of the barge canal, that even in 2009, 2010, people were still thinking that they were going to do that canal. You know, they were still mad, still mad about the defeat of it. So they not only did a good documentary, but they took a lot of fire for doing this documentary. And in fact, it was KERA in the early parts of 1973, where they did some news events, including debates with Alan Steelman and some interviews, and they started presenting to the North Texas people a side of the Trinity Barge Canal that neither newspaper, not even the Dallas Times-Herald, was really giving them. And I think that shows just how important KERA's presence in our community is and why we're just thrilled to be presenting it. And not only that, we're going to have a panel after this screening of this documentary, and it's going to look at the future of the Trinity River. And we're going to have some exceptionally high-level people will be a part of this panel that will be moderated by Ed Timms, and he is the governmental accountability editor of KERA News. This should be an extraordinary panel that we're going to be recording and make sure that it's available for people not at the screening to be able to see. We're going to be discussing something in particular, which is the Dallas Floodway Extension, which is basically kind of a furthering of the barge canal mentality. More levees, more destruction of forest, I've seen estimates of 250 acres of the Great Trinity Forest going to be leveled. Now, we all recognize that there needs to be more flooding protection for residents of South Dallas, but there's other ways to deal with this issue. Ned was an expert, and so is Janice Bazanzin, in non-structural flood management. And anybody who is in water management will tell you that the place that you deal with flooding is not where it floods. It's upstream, where the floodwaters come from. And the city of Dallas has never recognized this reality. So the floodway extension is officially active again. It has its funding, and we need to be on top of this topic. But also we need to be looking at the potential that the Trinity holds for nature tourism. in Dallas. We could be attracting people from all over to come to Dallas and hike the Great Trinity Forest, explore the Trinity River, look at all the parks along the Trinity River, especially if we really get our act together and put in a decent trail system. And people will come in, they will hike, they will go back to their hotel or their abode, they will wash up, they will have restaurant dinners. It can be a significant financial contribution to the city if we'll take it seriously. And the core of nature tourism in Dallas is undeniably the Trinity River.
Very
How's that
good.
for a rant?
Oh, yeah.
We
Be
need
sure-
all of us.
We'll be sure and
Testify.
post that on our Facebook page as well, and so that we make sure we go.
Yes.
There was a question from Alexander Neal. How was Gus Engeling Wildlife Management Area touched by FRITZ?
Can you imagine a 1/4-mile barge canal going through that place?
I can imagine it, yes.
It's on the Trinity River. And one thing to think about with this barge canal idea is that, these barges were the size of warehouses, and the barge canal had to be wide enough for 2 of them to pass each other. So that means there had to be 20 yards or more between each of these barges, and there had to be a lot of stuff on either side, and there's locks and dams, and it was essentially going to create a series of kind of weird ponds as the Trinity River went down. And so not only would the Gus Engeling have a barge canal going along one side of it, but the whole hydrology of these bottoms would have changed.
Yep.
And there, think about what these landowners were imagining when they are told that this barge canal is being planned. And they're like, but my deer come back and forth across this river. You can't cut my deer off. I need the deer from the other side of the river. So this barge canal would have changed the hydrology. And in fact, what you'll find out in this, in the website and also in the screening, is that the Texas Sierra Club was crucial to the defeat of the barge canal, because they put a lawsuit onto the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, and they joined together with the Texas Shrimp Fishermen Association and some other groups, and they put an end to what's called the Wallaceville Dam. This crazy project actually was going to dam the Trinity River at the mouth and create a gigantic lake. Now, what do you think the fishermen thought of losing their estuaries? That they were... The free-flowing river is so vital to the carrying of nutrients, carrying of wildlife, of fish, free-flowing fish. So it would have completely ruined the estuaries. And this is the Texas Bay is one of the largest estuaries in the nation. And it is extremely important to the fishing industry down there.
Let me ask you about John Bryant, who just got elected to the Texas House. Have you gotten him involved? Because he might have a lot of information about Ned.
Oh, he's very much involved. And in fact,
okay, good.
In the section that we have up on the website, his is the tribute in the very first section. Called Ned in a Nutshell. And he spoke at Ned's memorial service and just blew everybody away. And he is one of those people that was directly inspired by Ned. Ned encouraged him to become a lawyer. Ned inspired him to stay true to environmental affairs. And he is one of the biggest Ned fans. And he's been good to the project.
Glad to hear.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any questions?
Oh, and speaking of good to the project, y'all have been very good to us, and we're so grateful.
Yes.
We're so grateful.
And we had a comment from Teresa Patterson with Trinity Coalition. And Trinity Coalition is actively right now dealing with the remnants of the locks that were built. we're trying to get the paddling trail, the National Water Trail, all the way to the Gulf, which, you can laugh if you want, but that's what we're trying to do. And, Lock and Dam #1, we met with Trinity River Authority, and they said, it's not ours. The Corps engineer says it's not ours. So nobody's taking ownership that it's theirs to get rid of. And it's dangerous for paddlers. And the only way you can get around it is by portage, a long, hard way. So, some of these decisions that were made, and thank God were defeated, are still with us.
Yeah. And those locks are part of the original hundreds of years ago attempts to navigate the Trinity River, which they gave up on pretty quickly. Yeah.
After they poured a bunch of concrete.
Yes. And millions of dollars, again, back then in 1900s, early 1900s dollars, pouring a lot of money into navigation that never worked.
So you can reach Amy or I. Don't we have our website? Our emails?
No, but you can reach us through the website.
Yeah, Amy at nedfritz.com and Kristi at nedfritz.com.
This is Renee. I don't have a question. I just have a comment. I'd like to thank both of you for putting this together. And it needs to be shown in other venues because it's a lot of information. He's an unsung hero that a lot of people do not know about. And thank you for putting the presentation together, both of you.
You're welcome. And we would like to take this talk to other people. I think we're doing it for the Native Plant Society next month.
And we also did it. The first presentation was at Texas Master Naturalist Conference in Houston. But this is the first time we presented to the family and such esteemed guests that actually were part of this. So we're really looking for feedback.
And hence my nervousness.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Well, you all did a great job. Thank you both. And
yes,
I considered it a real privilege and pleasure to know Ned.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful.
When you said the Plant Society, there's several. Which one are you doing next month?
Dallas.
There's a Collin County one as well.
Yes.
We're doing it for the Dallas Native Plant Society. And I'll tell you the date in just a second. Do you remember, Amy?
No, not offhand. And with that one, it'll be a little different than this presentation because we're going to focus quite a bit more on his native plant efforts.
Right.
And a little bit more on the Great Weed War, which was quite frankly hilarious.
We're presenting it on Monday, February 20th at 7. It's going to be in person at Gaston Christian Center Fellowship Hall.
And that's at Royal Lane and Greenville. Yeah. So yes, we'd like to do this talk more.
Okay. And also there are several Audubon groups. I'm sure every one of them would love to hear this.
Ned was a co-founder of the Dallas Audubon Society, and the Dallas Audubon was one of the first Audubon chapters. Not the first, Travis County was, but it was right there in the first 2, 3, or 4 chapters.
Amy, will they be recording the Native Plant Society one?
I don't know if they're that fancy or not.
But y'all are recording this.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you will send the link out, right?
Well, you can go to the Dallas Sierra Club website, and on that first page further down, there is a link, a description or a link to all of our recordings, because all our general meetings are recorded and posted to our website, or the links to them.
Yeah.
Actually, John, if I can interject for a minute, ladies, if you could give us maybe another week, we're actually transitioning to our own YouTube page before we had it associated with the cameraman that was recording for us. So, John, I believe that the link, once it's going and Ananya gets it set, will go from the website to that direct YouTube page. And this will be posted with all of our meetings going forward.
Perfect.
Yeah. And I stumbled across that the other day and was like, where's the content?
Exactly. Exactly. You hit the nail on the head. So that will be changing.
Yeah.
We'll be first.
You will be first. Absolutely. Absolutely. But I will make sure when that's up and running, especially ladies, I will email you the link and let you know it's going and all of that good stuff.
Terrific.
And Gail A chimed in and said that she's grateful for this project. Gail, please, yes, do contact us, amy@netfritz.com. And we would love to see your photos, and we would love to chat with you and interview you a bit. This whole website is full of tributes to Ned. Some of them are long, like John Bryant's, and some of them are very short. So if you have a quote or something about Ned, we would love to feature it on the website or do our best to do so.
Wonderful. John, are there any more questions in the chat? We're at 8:17 now, so we're coming up to the end. Or were there any more questions out there in the audience?
And mute myself. No, I don't see any more.
Okay.
I don't either.
Any more questions? Well, ladies, did you have anything else or something you'd like to close with?
Go ahead. You're the inspirational one. I'm just the wonk.
We are very grateful, and especially to Jeannie Fritz, Gail Fritz, Judy Gaskell, and Eileen McKee, who will watch this on YouTube, as well as the grandchildren. For them to trust us with their husband, father's, grandfather's legacy is quite an honor.
Mm-hmm. And I do want to stress that Jeannie Fritz, there's quite a bit about Jeannie Fritz and her efforts with women's credit. And we didn't get the ability to have credit in our own name until 1974.
Is that crazy?
And you can thank Jeannie and Ned and a host of other people for that, but she was also instrumental in starting a credit union so women could get loans. She was amazing in the League of Women Voters. There is just so much that Jeannie did that got a little overshadowed by Ned. And so we want to make sure that Jeannie gets her due in this website. They were an amazing couple. And I think the thing that made them amazing is how much they loved each other. They truly did. And for being very busy people, they were good parents. And I hope to bring that across as well, too, is that in this book, this biography, you're not only going to learn about the amazing things that Ned did, but also this incredible human being that wrote poetry and played games with his grandchildren and sung in the church choir, who was witty and funny and overcame a number of physical hardships to continue doing what he did. And I hope you come away inspired by and realize how lucky we were to have Ned Fritz in Texas. I can't imagine what Texas would be like if Ned had not been here. And there are as you read in the website, you'll see that if this thing had gone one way or another, he wouldn't have been here in Dallas. And so it's kind of a stroke of luck that we ended up with Ned Fritz, and that Ned Fritz ended up with Jeannie, because he couldn't have done what he did without Jeannie and without the loving support of his daughters.
Well, it is a wonderful tribute, ladies. I cannot think of a more wonderful way to end it, talking about, all you need is love, as the Beatles said. So
yes. All you need is love.
Well, wonderful, ladies.
Crazy Unitarians.
The Crazy Unitarians. That's right. That's the name of their new group when they take it on the road. Well, everyone
playing guitar.
There you go, or air guitar. Everyone, thank you for being here. We really, really appreciate it. All the guests, our speakers, our friends, our colleagues. It was wonderful to see you all. Email us, call us if there's anything we can do in the future, and we hope you'll come back.
Yes.
for the next project or update this one or whatever works for you.
Great. Yeah, I'd like to talk about Wild DFW. That'd be lovely.
Call Renee.
Okay.
She's ready.
I'm
Thank
ready.
you, friends. Thank you for being here.
Thank
Wonderful
you.
evening to you all.
Bye.
Good night.
Greatly appreciated.
Night,
Thank you to
everybody.
everyone. Good night.
Good night.
Right. Gail along at sbcglobal.net.
Do we need to look at the chat? before
Yes.
we-
Oh, and to everybody who's still on, I'll be here until people leave in case anybody wants to say anything else.
Does anyone that's still on have Alexander Neal's email? He has a really good comment here.
Although I want to tell him that we were actually going to court against McComas Bluff encroaching.
John, do you know Alexander Neal?
I am sorry. I'm totally unfamiliar with that individual.
Okay.
Do not know the name.
I'll track him down.
Look at what Carol Feldman said. My treasured copy of Realms of Beauty was autographed by Ned. Quote,
Yeah.
to Carol, may the grace of silver bells be always with you.
That's wonderful. Somebody who went into native plants in a big way.
Well, she was in my North Texas Master Naturalist class. Okay, I can't make this go up.
You just need to get the clicker on
I
it.
know, it's just crazy. There you go. No, go up. Keep going up.
I am curious, what problem were you having in advancing the slides?
If you press too hard, it went like 3. If you press too light, it didn't move. So you had to like figure out this very fine touch.
Yeah, it was cranky, just a cranky button.
If you look there where it says transitions, click on that and see what what you have.
It just said none.
Okay, it says on mouse click. That's right. I'm over here on the far right where that it says clicked right there. That's what you need. Yes. Huh,
We weren't
okay.
using the mouse. We were using the arrow key.
You know, I should have
Well,
been.
that's fine.
Yeah, but yeah, that's odd. I'll focus more on the mouse next time, and not depend on my laptop touchpad.
And there's also because you were mentioning that you wanted to see your notes while it's being presented.
Yes.
There is, and I don't know where it is right offhand, but there is a place where you can have the presentation being shown. Everybody sees it, but your notes, you can read them as well.
Well, I missed having that access to those notes. That really threw me in the beginning.
I know. I'm
I made
sorry.
a printout. So, what do you think I should?
I don't right offhand know where it is, but there is a control for doing that. It will be under slide. It may be presenter view. I'm not too sure.
You know, I was wondering about that. It seems like, yes, and then you get little thumbnails of the stuff at the bottom. And let me see if it shows our notes. Yes.
That's over on the side.
Mm-hmm. So that would have worked a bit better.
Yeah, I could have seen that.
Yeah.
But I'm not too sure that's exactly right because I can see everything that you're
you can
doing
see
right
our
now.
notes.
You know, that's what I was told, is that they're curious as to why Zoom can't get it together about this, you know, that you shouldn't. I have found this when I do Zoom meetings, is that I have to read off of paper. Yeah.
I'm going to look into this because there must be a way to do
There's
this
got to be.
how you want it. I'm
Yeah.
absolutely positive. Well, anyway, we're going to have to end it. I have got
Okay,
to go
we pulled everything we needed off of the
off the chat.
off the chat. I can't see.
Okay,
anything
good.
else. That was mainly what we're doing, is pulling some email addresses and stuff.
Well, very good.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. I think the presentation was great. I
Oh,
really
thank you.
hope I get a chance to see it, and also the thing about the, I've forgotten what I'm talking about. I know it in my head.
Living with the Trinity by KERA in the screen
Right.
in April.
Yeah, it's going to be a big party.
Hey, John, did we go too fast or go too slow?
No, yeah, the speed was just fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good
And
night.
good night.
Good night. Bye-bye.